It's time for No Pad Sports Talk. Stay tuned as two brothers bring you the latest from your Michigan teams and beyond in hockey, baseball, football, and more. Let's get started. Here are your hosts, JD and Steve.
Welcome to a Friday edition of No Pad Sports Talk. I am one of your hosts, JD.
And I'm Steve. And for those of you that have been listening to our last few podcasts, I hope that you are pleasantly surprised that the intro works.
Let's wait for the outro, but so far...
But fingers crossed, we are halfway there. We are halfway there.
It worked before we started recording, so...
True statement.
You know, it could be good news.
Well, we could say it worked and be lying to you, but we don't do that. We just kind of tell you how it is.
Yeah. No. Yeah, we're going to lie to you. We wouldn't put in all of our blunders every single week.
If we were going to lie to you, we would have said, hey, Jim Harbaugh already took the job for the Los Angeles Chargers, and he won't be coaching in the college football playoffs. But
I mean, if we wanted to lie to you, we would tell you that Jim Harbaugh listens to our show and talks to us daily.
Yeah, right? I mean, you got people at the NFL, John Runyon, listen, he's got us, right?
Shout out to Runyon.
Graduated high school with me. We went to school together, played football together, played basketball, track. We did it all. It's funny enough, I'm going to tell a little story. I don't know that he could dunk. But I think he started playing football. The basketball coach asked him to start playing football because they wanted him to work on his footwork for basketball. And if I remember right, he did have a offer to play basketball at Michigan State and a football offer at Michigan. And I think if we all look back at it, I think John made the right choice and go play football at Michigan.
Yeah.
Right? Went on and got drafted. His son plays for the Packers.
Yeah.
So, he kind of started something out there, but yeah. Anyway.
He had a nice career out there, right? I mean.
Yeah, and now he's, ironically, he's the guy that enforces penalties or for, like, bad hits or stuff like that, and he was kind of known and notorious for being the guy that really plays not just to the whistle, but a little bit past. Hold on, guys. I kind of spilt some pop.
Okay. So, I guess with that being said, let's go ahead and let you know what we're planning on doing today. So we're gonna. It's Friday, Eastern time, around 8:40 p.m. So we're gonna talk about the Lions, kind of go into the pregame, and kind of move on from there. All right. I know we were talking a lot about like the games ever since the bye week. I guess really. They just haven't looked like they did in the games previous to the bye week. So ultimately, let's go ahead and get into it. Pregame Lions, Broncos. The game's actually going to be at home for the Lions. The game did get moved a few weeks ago, so it is going to be on a Saturday, 8:15 p.m.
Yep.
So. Like another primetime game. They have not played well in primetime, except for the first game of the season when they beat the Chiefs. So,
yeah, and ironically, they're favorites to win that game.
Yep. I think they opened at like 5-point favorites, but I think it's down to 4.5 now. Something along those lines.
4.5. Yeah, I think it's at 4.5 is what I saw. Not that we're betting people, but we like to throw that information out there for those that do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've learned a long time ago, you never bet on or against the Lions because they'll break your heart every time. So
True statement.
It's just safer for me not to even try. So I don't at all. But at any rate, this game has all the makings to be a blowout. And when I say blowout, I mean as far as the Lions getting destroyed. They looked really, really bad. They have not done anything that really has impressed me the last couple of games. The offense is starting to stall. We know that Jared Goff has went from a person that protects the football, doesn't turn it over, to basically
turnover machine.
Like 3 a game. Like it's just been it's been really bad. And that's really because the Lions, they have to rely on their offense. We know that their defense just isn't that good. You got to rely on the offense in order to win games. And the only way the defense can really stop anybody is with the defensive line get any sort of pass rush at all on the quarterback.
Correct. Because I know we talk about how the defense isn't that great. It's really part of our defense that's not great. And the problem is that the part that's not great really relies heavily on the part that is really pretty good. Right?
Well, that is true, but but we haven't really seen it from the defensive line though either. So I know we both think the defensive line is the strength of our defense, but
yep,
they showed up a little bit this last game, but they haven't really gotten to the quarterback.
No, they haven't.
And the problem is Russell Wilson is that type of quarterback that's going to give the Lions defensive line fits. He's going to be able to be escape the pocket, move around, and the defense does not chase the quarterback good at all.
Yeah, so I was talking about this with one of my students. I'm gonna give him a little shout out. I'm gonna name drop him here. Cooper, he's in my one of my electronics classes, and we were talking about this game, and he was actually asking me, where I stood, what I thought, was going to happen, right? Give me a little bit of prediction. And being as honest as I am, because I tell all my students I'm never going to lie to them. I'm just going to be straight and shoot them between that, and let them know how it is. But I thought I told him I think the Lions are going to lose, right? And that's I'm going to stand by that. Right, and I know we haven't gotten quite to that part yet. And I can't remember if I said it was going to be a 3-point game. I think it was going to be a 3-point game. But it could be as much as the Lions losing by 10.
We've talked about it in our post game, and we have been for a while. Especially me, I've been really high on this idea for the entire season. My brother, Steve, taking a little longer to come around, but I think it's coming around now. And that's really with Jameson Williams, right? Like, look, I don't understand the reasoning that they have about not playing Jameson Williams. And when they do, all they do is basically have him run go routes. I don't understand that aspect of it either. Right now, Jared Goff has not been efficient at throwing a deep ball at Jameson Williams. Every deep ball he's thrown at Jameson Williams has been behind Jameson Williams. He can't lead him.
Correct.
Williams is too fast. I don't know. He's just too fast. And so what we've been talking about last couple of games is play Williams, but have him run more conventional routes. That's kind of more, Goff's strengths. Say between 10 and 20 yards. Some slants, just, basically just get behind the linebackers, somewhere there. Try to create one-on-one situations against a cornerback or a safety that Jameson Williams can win.
Yeah. So when we said that at our post game last week, it wasn't 24 hours, and it was a tweet from Detroit Sports, or it was an article from the Detroit News. Anyway, Coach Campbell even said, we've got to figure out how to get Williams more involved in the offense, right? I think he's listening to us.
Shout out Campbell.
That's right. So I appreciate you hearing us out. How's that? Right? But, because, we're not trying to... We don't like to dog our team, but, when they play bad, we're going to let you know. They played bad.
It
right?
was the worst game I've seen him play.
Absolutely, it was the worst game they played this year.
Yep.
Right. I mean, and that's been, even when you look at the blowout loss to the Ravens.
Yeah.
Right.
That was even worse than the Ravens. Absolutely.
That getting beat like that and getting manhandled, pushed off the ball, we just got controlled right from the beginning by the Chicago Bears. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that should not happen. That's our division. We are NFC North team. We are supposed to play tough football, and we look like kitty cats and not lions.
And I'd even argue on top of everything else that we, on paper, we have the better talent all around.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how does that happen?
Yep.
So
their new acquisition for the Bears, Montez Sweat, he looked like a perennial Pro Bowler. Right? I just, not that he's not that caliber of player. That's why they traded for him. That's why the Bears paid him what they paid him. Right? But like when you make them look that good, I'm just hoping that our offensive line, our 5 guys that we want on the line, is going to be back soon for this last stretch going into the playoffs. And I'm still thinking about the playoffs. Right?
Yeah.
I still think we're gonna win the division. I still think we're gonna have a home playoff game. Yep. Something that's never happened at Ford Field.
Yep.
Right? So that alone, right?
Yeah.
Would be huge for the Lions team moving forward.
Yes, it would.
Right? It's huge for their fan base, the city, all of it. Especially when you think about Detroit's hosting the draft this year. Or I shouldn't say this year. 2024 coming up in April, right? So to have that and then feed right into that, come on. I just, like, that hype thing is there. Right? And finishing 10-7 and not making the playoffs for the Lions would be an absolute disappointment of a year.
Especially how they started,
especially because of how they started.
Look, I agree with you. I think we're still going to win the division, and I think we're still going to end up with a home playoff game. I'm locked up with you on that. But I know every passing game, there's starting to be more and more people that's, kind of more detractors, shall we say, right? People that just think that, and it's hard to blame them. I mean, we've been in these positions in the past, right, where even at good starts, Lions don't make the playoffs. Even last year, where we got off to a bad start, but then finished strong and came down to the last game of the season, and we missed the playoffs.
Correct.
As Lions fans, we are just kind of programmed, no matter what happens, no matter how good they're doing, as fans, we're just kind of waiting for that other boot to drop. There's the shoe to drop, right? We're just waiting for it. And then, so it's really hard as fans for us to enjoy,
any success,
series of victories. Yeah, success, right? Because we're just waiting for it to happen.
Right. We are a fan base of what are they going to do for us next week? Right? Because that's what just like you said, we're waiting for that other shoe to drop. Right? What are they going to do for us next week? Well, here we are next week. So what are they going to do for us? Right?
Well,
I want to see Jamison Williams, and my brother said it. I haven't been as high on him as my brother has, but I have seen the talent. I've seen the speed, right? And I agree. We've got to figure out how to get him involved, right? And it's got to be one of those games where he's got like 10 catches and 12 targets, right? 150 yards and a touchdown, right? he's capable of that and taking the top off the defense, right?
Easily capable of that.
So
you know,
I'm just so I'm waiting for that too because I think he can do it.
Mm-hmm. What I want, and I mentioned it in the post game last week when we did the show, or earlier this week. I want to look at it, whatever. After last game. Look, I said it then. We'll say it now. I think we have a running back in Gibbs that is a special talent. I was happy when we took him. I wasn't even mad where we took him. Not at all. I've been defending that pick since day one. I guess you could technically say day zero, when the pick was initially made. But
yeah,
look, what I like about Gibbs is the guy is deceptive when you talk about being able to run up the middle and him lowering his shoulder to deliver a hit. He is not afraid of contact. He can run up the middle, even though the guy is fast and shifty and great acceleration. He's not afraid to run up the middle. So I'll say it. I know the Lions love running two tight end sets a lot. I don't want to see that as much at all. I actually want them to use Laporta kind of in the slot. You can move him in motion, right? Just have 5 offensive linemen, right? Spread out your, Laporta and 3 other wide receivers, Jamison Williams being in there.
Yes.
Have Gibbs in the backfield and have a single back, like 4 wide outs, counting Laporta, right? Because what I think we can do with Laporta is you can use motion. So if you want to run a route, he can stay out there. Or if you want to run kind of wide towards him, he's a great blocker. But if you do want to kind of run up the middle, you can you can motion him in to either get back on his down on his hand to block that way, or he can continue running behind the quarterback and then kind of block to the left with momentum. Right? I think we can do a lot of run plays, pass plays, etc. when you're talking about Laporta. Plus, our wide receivers love to block, and they're good at blocking. They just don't like to, they're good at it. So I think we have the advantage running the outside when you're talking about our wide receivers on their cornerbacks, blocking. Plus, you got Laporta out wide, and then lastly, you want to talk about a mismatch. They have to go into a dime formation, right? So they're going to only have 1 linebacker in the box. So you have 5 defensive linemen, 4 down linemen, 1 linebacker. That's helmet on helmet. And you got Gibbs that can run up the middle or sweep it outside. And he's a threat out of the backfield. So who's going to cover him in that scenario? The linebacker.
Right. The linebacker.
I'm just thinking, and all you guys out there in football land, you let me know. Am I off my rocker and thinking that the talent Lions have between Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, that somehow with those guys have all on the field at the same time, to me it sounds like an awesome offensive strategy that's borderline unstoppable. Plus it feeds into Goff and him doing so well in play action. Because now either they bring the safeties up to help stop the run and help stop Gibbs, right? And when they do, you got Williams that can blow the lid off of them, and if they don't, you got Gibbs that can run hard up the middle. I just don't understand I just think it's a mismatch. But I'm sure somebody out there can explain to me why I'm wrong, so do it. But to me, it's just, I want to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and then let's say you motion Gibbs out of the backfield and split him out, right?
Yeah.
Right? That's you're going to have to be 1-on-1 out there, right? Trying to get a safety to cover Laporta, trying to have a safety cover Gibbs, right? You got your receivers are going to be 1-on-1. That, you said it. It's a mismatch, and it would be tough to cover, right? And at that point, even if you're just throwing a quick slant, that'll be open.
Yeah,
right?
I believe it would be. Yeah.
So, yeah, they've got to get it. They've got this young, talented talented group of young players, right?
Yes.
And we said it at the beginning of the season, like there's only so many balls to go around, right?
Yeah.
Like when we were talking, making preseason predictions that, Amon Ra is still going to get his, 1,200 yards, 1,300 yards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever that might be. But how do you get Laporta in there? What's Gibbs going to, what's his share going to be? Who's going to be that other receiver coming out, right? And Josh Reynolds has shown that he can do it. Khalif Raymond has shown that he can do it. So it, and everyone's had their day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we know that, the Lions just got that kind of, they do have the talent. Like they could go out and they can go hand and go neck and neck with the Broncos tomorrow. Right? They can.
Yes, they can.
But they're going to have to come out, and they're going to have to come out and just be all out tomorrow.
Yes.
Right? Because if Denver comes out and gets the crowd out of it, that's going to be a tough game. Right? And this year has been the loudest that I have heard Ford Field. And I haven't even been at a game, but you can hear it when you're in, like, listening to it and watching it on TV. You can hear how loud it is. And it's not typically like that, unless it was away team fans in the stands. Right?
Yeah.
So it's we have a difficult road ahead. All right? The next 4 weeks mean a lot, right? Double-digit wins this year. Double-digit wins is a huge victory for the team. I don't think it still makes it a successful season just having double-digit wins. No. Right? I think a division win, or winning the division championship, that, to me, winning the North, that would help make it a better or more successful year. Hosting the playoff game is a successful year, right? Because this team is one of the 4th or 5th youngest teams in the NFL right now. Right? And to be playing at the level that we're playing at with the young team that we have.
Right.
I mean, to me, that just bodes well for the future. Right? Yeah. What is that going to look like in 2 years? Is that a Super Bowl? It's possible. Right?
It's possible. Sure. Absolutely.
Right? It just, the GM, the coach, the ownership, they're doing the right things. They're doing the right things.
Well, for the first time in a long time, right, we are actually seeing, like the Lions, like we've talked about this multiple times, but the Lions have a strategy. Before, all they were doing was, I don't know, they were just drafting people. I mean, there was even a story out there when Matt Millen was the GM, and I know everybody's going to hate me for mentioning that name, but, I have to. There was that, I can't remember the running back that they drafted back in the day. I think it was from Wisconsin, too. But it got to their pick, and they didn't know who to pick. Like, the time kept running, and then ran out of time. And then, in the background, someone just yells up, draft this guy. And I was running back, and it was on the tip of my tongue when I first started talking. Now I lost him. But, and that's what they drafted. And the guy was a complete bust in the 3rd round. Like there was no plan whatsoever. It was like those guys just going out there and just drawing straws, more or less. Now we have a plan. We're sticking to it. We're building through the draft. We're getting some good young talent in that fits the culture and the system that we want to run. And we're seeing it pay off already. So yes. Now, what you were talking about, so as far as a successful season, let me just jump on that real quick. All right.
And just say Brian Calhoun.
There we go.
I think that's him. I think that's who you're talking about.
Yes, it is.
Yep.
Now let me talk about a successful season. So when we ended last year, there was a lot of, we were like all the Lions fans, we were like hyped and ready to go. Like, oh my God, like this is the turnaround.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait. Next year is going to be, like a great year for us. Coming into the season, looking at the NFC North, I immediately thought that the Lions had the best team in the NFC North. So
Yes.
I expected the Lions to win the NFC North. That was it. Like I expected it. That's the minimum, because that was my expectation. So a successful season, was winning a playoff game. So that's where I'm at, right? This, like, I can't accept anything less than winning the division. Success, being a success is playoff game, and I didn't really move the bar, but even if I did, I think it's warranted. When you start off, like the Lions did, beating the Chiefs to begin, which was a great win, and beat Tampa and should have beat Seattle, and anyways, the like we saw how well this team was performing. It's okay to move the bar, saying, you know what, I thought we were going to be here, but now after seeing stuff, we should be here, and that's okay. It's okay to like in the middle of the season to say, no, my expectations were way too low. We should be up here. Now I don't think we should ever lower the bar, right? So
no.
So if we don't win the division, regardless, even if we make the playoffs, if we don't win the division, I consider that a huge disappointment. And
yes,
and it's just a bad season. So
I know.
Playoff game win minimum.
Yeah. Well, that would be awesome to get an actual playoff win, other than not just a playoff game, but a playoff win. But that's a tall order now, right? With where we're at, and where I project us to finish, right? While we'll win the division, I think we're going to be the 4 seed. And at that point, you're playing Dallas or Philly in the wild card.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So we already have to play Dallas. Right? In a couple of weeks. So next week we have the Vikings, and then we have Dallas, and then we got the Vikings. So that's a tall order. And because the Vikings are playing better, that divisional thing, like Green Bay too, right? Green Bay was playing, but I was glad Green Bay got beat. Right? Green Bay, the Vikings won 3-0. Right?
Right, against the Raiders.
Against the Raiders. And then the Raiders turn around and score 63 points against the Chargers.
Yes.
I mean, it was 21-0 in the first quarter of that game, but that's a whole other thing. 63 points. So I think the high for this year was 70 points, and that was set by the Dolphins, and they just had that kind of offense. So
yeah. So again, it depends on how things kind of finish up, for the playoff picture, right? So let's just say Dallas wins their division over Philly. It doesn't really matter. One of them are going to win the division, right?
yes.
So, and if the Lions finish 4, they would play them. If somehow they could squeak by, which I don't think is going to happen, but if they could somehow squeak by and get 3, they'd play the 6th seed, which,
Correct.
yes. Yeah. So
well, based on the rest of the teams in the NFC, once you get after 5, right? And really, you got to do better than the NFC South. Right?
Right.
You got to be better than, and honestly, almost anybody, the high school team that we have could probably be better than the NFC South.
NFC South's pretty bad.
Right?
So, I think the Lions being a 4 seed is about right because I do think the Niners, Cowboys, and the Eagles are all better than the Lions. But
Yes.
when you look at the playoff picture right now, going with 7 teams, as of this past week, so say December 13th, Lions are 9-4, right?
Yep.
So right now you have the Lions, the Vikings, and the Packers all in the playoffs.
Correct.
Yeah. And you got
So I think
yeah.
I think like the 6th seed would be like the Packers, the 7th seed was gonna the Vikings, and the 7th seed would be the Packers.
Correct. Yes.
Right.
Which is kind of crazy that you have 3 NFC North teams that's actually going to be in the playoffs at this point. But
it's been a while since I think we've seen something like that.
Yes, because it's always been the Packers and everybody else. I mean,
correct.
Until the Vikings finally got a little bit better. But
yeah.
But
yeah, so like, can you imagine if we moved up and made it? I think we could possibly be the 3 seed, just because I think we'll have a better record than the NFC South team that wins the division.
So think about this. All right. Just yeah, you're right. Yeah, we have a good chance to be the 3 seed. But okay, think about this for a second, though, brother.
Mm-hmm.
What if the Vikings stay the 6th seed? Because what that will give you then is you got Vikings, Cowboys, Vikings, and Vikings again. So we play Vikings 3 times in 4 weeks.
Yeah. Like, we should know their playbook by now.
You have to.
We shouldn't have to worry about stealing any signs. I'm a team guy. I can joke about it. It's okay, because I think it's all ridiculous.
You beat me to it. I was actually going to make a joke about not having to hire him, but you got there before I did. So
yeah. But in the end, but yeah, to have to play the Vikings 3 times in 4 weeks.
Yeah,
like I said, to me, that would be a winnable playoff game.
Yes, it would,
and get us into the next level, right?
But knowing the Lions, they'll beat the Vikings twice in the regular season and then lose 56-7 in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's like the Patriots trying to go 19-0 and beating the Giants in the last game of the season and still lose to them in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
which I know has got to be, it's got to eat at Tom Brady.
Oh, for sure it does.
Right? To have the season that they had, and then that's how, wow. The one game you lose is in the championship game, the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Before we get to our predictions, there, brother, as far as score and players, the games, and all that kind of stuff. What else you got as far as the Lions? Like anything else you kind of want to say as far as what you want to see or what you think they need to do or
we need to, I don't know. There's a lot I think we can work on. What I'd love to see is a better pass rush. I think we're going to have to keep a linebacker in to spy on Russell Wilson. Right? That's going to be a key component to winning this game. Right? And our DBs have to play better. Jerry Jeudy is no slouch, right? Cortland Sutton, not a slouch, right? They've got some receivers, right, that we have to be worried about. I think in the run game, we're okay. But it's the passing game where we suffer. And when I say run game, the running back running game. The quarterback run game, well, we're working on that. On offense, ball control. do what works best for you and stay on time. Right? Have your playmakers on the field and stop having Jameson Williams run a go route. That's, I mean, you're gonna get to the point where this kid is gonna look like the receiver Pickens, I think it's named, or Pickens from the Steelers. Watch some of the plays that he does. He takes off plays all the time, but I don't want that to happen to Jameson Williams, right? And he hasn't shown that that's what he's still out there blocking. He's going downfield, and we've seen it all season, right? But quit having this guy just run a go route and turn around and have to come back. Run another go route, turn around and come back. Run a go route, right? It's like the kid who can't catch, so just go deep. Just go deep. I can't hit you, so just go deep.
Mm-hmm.
So don't do that anymore, right? So that's kind of, I think, where that's going to be our winning combination, is trying to dominate the run game, both offensively and defensively, minimize big plays on defense, keep Russell Wilson in the pocket.
I mean, I can't argue with what you're saying there. I'll say this. If you look back at our losses that we had after the bye week, we had a lot of turnovers in those losses. And even though we had a lot of turnovers, like, we were still pretty much in the game.
And
you know, so as much as as bad as the offense has looked, and I already kind of said what I wanted to see from the offense. But even if that's not the case, number one key is turnovers. Don't turn the ball over, I think, is the number one key. Defense, I actually liked some of the plays that we ran on defense last week. I know it was a loss, but we had some good disguised blitzes. We had, corners blitz, safeties blitz. Our linebackers a blitz. We had Hutchinson, go back and play like a little bit of a zone, while others blitzed. Like, we actually, like, instead of just doing 4-man rush, 7 guys out every single play, we actually started seeing a little bit more creativity. And I'd like to see more of that on defense.
Yes. And that actually minimized the Justin Fields runs.
And a lot of times it did.
Right? I mean, he was still killing us on third down. We could talk about third downs all day.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm still... So if I was a betting guy, I'm going to take the Broncos and the points.
Yeah, I mean, 4.5 points is tough to not take if you're betting on that,
right? And even so CBS Sports has said, look, Detroit is 6-0 against the spread, and it's past 6 non-divisional games as a favorite. That's all great, and the Lions have been much better against the spread. So, as you vote or as you bet, however you bet, the Lions have been better. But the Broncos have won 6 of their last 7. They have a lot of momentum heading into this game.
They're basically doing what the Lions did last year.
That is absolutely right.
So, but at any rate, I think as far as a score goes, I'm still, it's like our roles have been reversed, brother. I've been optimistic, and look, like I said at the beginning of the show, I can totally see how the Lions can get blown out in this game, and it would not surprise me. It'd still sicken me, but it wouldn't surprise me. But I would go ahead and say that the Lions are going to win by 3. The Lions have this chip on their shoulder that when they lose, you can tell that it bothers them, it eats at them, and they come back pretty hard and pretty strong, and they almost look like a different team after a loss.
Yeah.
So, plus they're at home.
Yeah. And I can see that especially losing to a division rival.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I can see angry. That, but absolutely they're angry.
So I'm that's for that reason. I'll pick the Lions. I think they'll win by 3. So the 4.5 spread still goes in Denver's favor. But I'll pick Lions to win.
Okay. All right. So all right, I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna let you go first now. Which would you prefer, offense or defensive player? I'm gonna let you pick which one you want.
Offense.
All right. Give it to me.
All right. Again, for those that don't watch the show regularly, we don't allow ourselves to take the quarterback because it's pretty easy, to take the quarterback every single game. But
in the last 4 weeks, I wouldn't have played. Yeah, I wouldn't have taken golf in the last 4 weeks.
But at any rate, so quarterback that being available to pick, that's gonna be. I want to pick Jameson Williams just because I just want to put my money where my mouth is, talking about him so much. But I just don't think they're going to utilize him. I think he has a chance to have a big game if they do utilize him. I just don't think they will. I think. Oh jeez, I'm all over the place. It's got to be Gibbs. Because the offense thrives best on a play action pass. In order for play action pass to be successful, you have to run the ball good. Now they've been running Montgomery, and it's not that I don't like Montgomery, but he's not Gibbs. Gibbs is way more talented, has a much higher floor and ceiling, and I believe that for the Lions' offense to be successful, Gibbs has to be successful, and that goes for anything. It doesn't matter if I picked Amon-Ra St. Brown or Laporta or whomever. In order for the offense to be a success, it starts with the run game. Therefore, I'm going to go with Gibbs.
Okay. Well, I have taken Sam Laporta in a lot of games, and I've been rightfully so. The kid has been he's been phenomenal. But you know what? I'm going to take your money and I'll put it in my mouth, and I'm going to take Jamo.
All right.
He won't have 10 catches, but I think he'll have 5 catches, a touchdown, 75 yards. I think he'll have a total of over 100-yard game, combined total yardage from scrimmage.
Okay.
That's where I'm going to go. This is how much he has swayed me since the beginning of the season to this point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I took Sam Laporta earlier and he started doing something. So I'm like, maybe it's me. So I'm going to jump on the wagon. I got a foot on there. I'm kind of hopping along.
Pushing it.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to see what we can get. But I'm taking Jamo.
All right. Okay, so defense then.
They didn't use Brian Branch was really quiet last week.
And did you notice he didn't have his thing up here either, his mouthpiece.
His mouth guard and his helmet.
No.
So I'm going to go with Brian Branch.
That's who I was going to take. All right.
Because I almost said Jack Campbell, but I'm going to take Brian Branch. And I just because he was so quiet last week, he's going to make some noise this week.
I believe he is. Since I can't take Branch because you took him, this probably isn't going to be a big surprise, but I'm going to go with Hutchinson.
Yeah. Okay.
What I think they're going to do with Hutchinson in this game, because again, they started doing a little bit last game too. Now they did it earlier in the year. They kind of got away from it quite a bit, and I did see it last game, and I think they're going to continue with it because it was pretty successful. As you're going to see Hutchinson move all over the defensive line. They're going to try to put him in optimum positions in order to create pressures and get sacks. So, I think Hutchinson will get 2 this game. I think he's just going to break out. I don't want to say break out because he's already kind of broken out, but it's been a while since he's actually had like a real disruptive game, and I think that's kind of what I'm trying to talk about. Is he's going to have another big game here, get 2 sacks, maybe have like 7 combined tackles and sacks and assists, but the 2 sacks would be big.
I totally can see that. You said that, and I started to smile because we talked about it. Like when they slide him down, like into the defensive tackle position, right? Even when he's standing, because he doesn't move down into a 4-point stance or a 3-point stance when he's doing that. He's coming down like a linebacker getting ready to blitz, but he's playing defensive tackle at the time, right? Mm-hmm. And that's an absolute mismatch for anybody on the guard center guard. There's not a lot of guard center guards that can handle that speed and that athleticism that Hutchinson brings.
He was definitely just terrorizing the guards in last game when they got moved inside. So, but yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. So I'm going to go with Hutchinson there.
Okay. So I want to have an honorable mention. I know we don't typically do this.
Right.
All right. And I want to go in our return game. Right? Because I don't want to. It's hard to pick one person because we kind of throw multiple people back, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm going to go specifically in the punt return game. We're going to have a big punt return this week.
Okay.
The punt return is actually going to flip the field for us, and momentum's going to shift, and that's when we win. Even though I said I think we're going to lose, that'll be the turning point.
Okay, since you did an honorable mention, I think picking Jack Fox is pretty easy because he's just a great punter. So I'm going to go
fantastic.
Jalen Reeves-Maybin. He's been fantastic on coverage.
Yes, he has.
And I think that we're going to see some more big tackles from him. I would not be surprised in this game if he even causes a fumble on the return game.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Look at that special teams getting some love from the Justice boys. Go out there and serve some justice. Let's get it done.
None of us picked the kicker.
No. Kickers that's like, that's gambling. And look, Riley Patterson has been serviceable, right? He hasn't been awful, but I still can't watch kicks, right? Especially when they're important money kicks that we have to have. Like, my head is down in my hands. I'm not looking at my wife's is like, what are you doing? You're not watching. I'm like, I can't watch it. I can't watch it. And she's like, okay, it's good. I'm like, okay, I can look now. And I'll see the replay.
Well, as longtime Lions fans, growing up watching the Lions, the one thing you always had was a dependable kicker. Eddie Murray going to Jason Hansen, right?
Yeah,
like that's
almost 35 years of
solid
35
kicking.
years of steady, gonna be great.
Yes.
Right? And then when we had
Prater,
right?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
He had a big leg, but there were some times where we're working on it. And Riley Patterson, it's not a knock against you. It's just the kicking game, that's a tough gig.
Sure.
Right? That's a tough gig.
Yeah. So I don't want to see Patterson kick anything over 50. Everything under 50, I'm kind of okay with. Over 50, I don't want to see it.
I'm the guy. I don't want to kick a field goal unless we're inside 40. Right? And to me, I say that only because if we miss, it's still not it's not as short a field, right? When you're talking 50 yards, we're kicking from the 40.
Right.
Right? If we're inside that 40, like we're down inside where it's, giving them a longer field. And that's why I feel more comfortable inside 40.
I hear what you're saying, and I don't disagree. But at least I have at least I have quite a bit of confidence that Patterson will make it at 49 or less. I just don't have the confidence at 50 or more.
Well, his stats show that too. Right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
all I want him to do is make extra points. Just don't miss the extra. It's like going to the free throw line. Don't miss the free throw.
Yeah.
Right? So,
well,
but yeah, that's our show for the day, folks. I'm gonna steal this from my brother. We always appreciate you listening. So follow us wherever you hear our podcast. I know this is what our outro is gonna say, but just in case the outro doesn't do it, this is me giving you my version of the outro. Hey, we appreciate it, guys. Listen to us, follow us, leave us some comments. We want to hear what you have to say. We love that feedback. So we can't get better unless you tell us what we're doing wrong.
That's right. All right. He said it. So talk to you next time. Why? Why? Is anything else working on here? Like, we tested it before we came live. We did test it. I swear to you.
And look, does the intro work?
Nothing's working.
Nothing is working. We went over our time limit.
Again.
We just went over our time limit. I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is. But whatever it is.
I'm going to have to record it on my phone one time so that you can hear it. And then I'm going to play it back for you guys so you know that we're actually testing it before we do it.
Oh, my goodness. This is terrible, guys. So sorry. Yeah. But
on the backside, maybe next time we'll just play it. Download them to your phone.
Yeah.
And then click it off the phone.
Well, remember the files on my old computer, which is not even hooked up anymore, and that's been what the kind of the issue was. So I'll see if I can cover it somewhere else. But anyway, again, appreciate you listening. We love leaving these outtakes in because they're funny and we can laugh at ourselves.
Yeah, these are the ones these are sometimes the ones that TikTok or not TikTok, but the AI algorithm picks out so we can push to TikTok.
And with that, again, all right, awesome. Appreciate you. Bye.
Bye.